Welcome, everybody. I am Joey Galvez, and I'm gonna single myself out here for you guys. How's it going? Welcome to another Sunday evening. We are here talking to our friends about all their really cool Kickstarters. You guys may notice that I don't have my pal Ben. He's out this week because he's out of town. He might be doing a vacation. This is vacation time for everybody. So, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in my pal here. We're gonna be talking to Max Hoven, who is one of the co-creators from our Love Unrest, and we're gonna get right into it really quick because I this is such a cool thing. Hey, dude, what's up, man? I want to talk to you about this book. This
All
is
right.
freaking cool, dude. Tell us before we get into anything. I want to jump into this because this is something brand new that you guys are doing. You guys have done some really cool horror stuff back in the day. First of all, before we jump into anything else, let everybody know who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing this time around, please.
Gotcha. Yeah. I go by Max Hoven. I I do a lot of different things, but in the creative world, I consider sort of my top down. I have a company called Hoven Crow Entertainment that produces comic books, graphic novels, and movies.
Yeah.
Um, but to niche it down, it's like I mainly focus on horror. Is what I do is I write horror, and then I try to turn it into things. And some things are big, and I try to turn them into like full blown ongoing comic series. And then other things are small or like they're like a contained story, and I try to turn them into movies. And if I can't do it myself, I'll find somebody that's a better writer than me, and I'll try to produce theirs.
I feel you there, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. I have this really cool story, but I'm not a seasoned writer like some of my friends. Like I think I got it, but I'm like every time you know what? Let's just give it to somebody who's because this is just too good. But what I
It's
can do is I can produce it, right?
Yes, exactly. It's whenever in doubt, like you're always like, oh, I came up with a great scene, or I know of a great concept. And now, as a producer, you can be like, I know what I want. Let me find somebody that already wrote it, or tell
Yeah,
somebody to write like my idea and try to
yeah,
turn it into a thing. But it's just getting harder and harder. But anyway, to back up, the
yeah.
main things I've done is like I started my career in comics with a writing partner of mine that we went to high school together, and we wrote short skits and all kinds of stuff and movies. And we then together we co-wrote a series of screenplays and a series of comic books, and we turned one of them into a 3-issue series that turned into a graphic novel with Scout Comics called It Eats What Feeds It. And that was
Yeah.
sort of a semi-hit in 2020 that launched our careers, and it got us another job writing an ongoing series called Liquid Kill that is now
Yes.
published by Massive Publishing, although it's kind of on hiatus. And the reasons of that going on hiatus and kind of the mayhem of that story, which we can get into later, is why I, at the moment, have decided to kickstart and self-publish my own new
Okay.
kind of gothic romance, which is in the same genre as It Eats What Feeds It.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
did get a little bit of same vibes, dude. I like some scenes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could totally tell that this was produced. This was a Hoven Crow production because dude, this because I was looking through your page and you sent me a couple of different things to look through, and I was like, oh my gosh, this scene, this whole piece here looks very similar, very something like it came from it eats what feeds it and kind of the same kind of vein. I really love that. It was one of my favorite series back when I was working with Scout.
oh
When I
yeah, I
was working
forgot
with
you did
their
that.
yeah, I was working with Scout, and I got to promote you
That's
guys
how
and
I
talk
know you.
about you
Yeah,
guys.
that's right.
So-
Initially.
yeah, and then so because of that, I got to read these books beforehand, and I fell in love with them because I had to. It was part of my work, but I was like, heck yeah! I think I collected so much more than I probably should have. but uh, but yeah, man, it was fantastic book, and I love that you guys are doing this. So tell us a little bit more about it. This says it's a manga graphic novel, gothic romance. In the vein of like body horror, suspense thriller. I love that whole
Yeah.
mix of things. So tell me a little bit more about that.
To dive into the weeds, it's like if you want to just read the log line or whatever, like the Kickstarter page has that, but to jump into sort of the feel or like the kind of the Hove and Crow, like tone and vibe that we're sort of known for. At this point now, this will be our second series with a similar vibe, and I'll explain. So like with It Eats What Feeds It, the story revolves around sort of a teenager. So you're getting sort of these emotional vibes of a teenager with this sort of attractive Stacy's mom kind of vibe, where there's this like beautiful woman that offers him this crazy job, and the job seems very strange and weird, but he's just sort of overwhelmed by the like hormones or whatever that are being released, and he's just so smitten with this beautiful lady that he's ignoring the fact that the job is literally feeding raw meat through a slot in a steel plated attic door.
Yeah.
There's something horrible on the other side, and he literally sees monstrous things walk through past windows, and and blood covered kitchens, and just sort of ignores it all. And then as he's in the weeds of it, it's sort of this tragic love story
I'll
filled
just
with
scroll to there so people can get an idea of what it looks of It Eats
oh
What
yeah,
Feeds
yeah,
It.
yeah. And
Here
then
we
I
go.
even like, because this campaign features a lot of double stuff, since they kind of are in the same vein. Anybody that didn't get that book, it's like yeah, you can get them both. But
Yeah.
how that tone is sort of, it's the teenage boy, older lady vibe. And we just like latched into that whole like any person feels, where you're just sort of like in love with somebody that doesn't, you shouldn't be, you're not truly in love, it's just like you kind of fell for somebody over a fling. um and it puts you into very strange and weird scenarios, and even almost everybody has that, whether you have a crush on a teacher or a friend's mom or something like that, to where it's this sort of taboo thing, and we tap into that, and then we just add in the fun of like sort of uh Lovecraftian kind of monsters and horror, mixed with the
Yeah.
good old Bayou
I
supernatural.
mean,
This
I mean,
one, yeah,
listen, when you got it, when you're dealing with monsters and demons, they're gonna feed into your worst or your most creepiest vices, right? So it almost makes sense that this is what this monster, whatever you want to call the story,
that
comes after this young man, right?
that reminds me, another part that like we play into it, that this is what I really like, and I talk to my writing partner Crow about this all the time, because this is, we we write by talking just back and forth forever. But it's the idea that you sort in certain horror, that's actually like what we call fun horror, to where you're not reading it to where you're like, whoa, like I'm scared in my boots. It's more of like the thrill of, if I'm trapped in a house with my crush, and
Yeah.
you kind of like all the weird monsters and fears and scares, they don't matter anymore, because you're going through all these horrors with someone you care about. So it's almost like they cancel each other out, because it's almost even more fun to go through a scary experience because you're with the attractive person you want to be with.
Yeah.
So to put yourself in that kind of a scenario, it's just like that thrilling, like the fun of it. So to jump to our Love Unrest, where how that kind of plays into this time, is this is now there's it's not from the male's perspective. It Eats What Feeds It was sort of from the teenage boy's perspective. This one is from it mainly from the woman's perspective, but it starts off where you're kind of seeing a little bit of both, but this time they're a little bit older, and instead of a taboo romance in the sense that it's like a teenage boy with an older woman, this one is, it's the story of, we all have sort of an ex that, or maybe not all of us, but it's a common trope in a sense of real life, to where you are dating somebody, let's just say in high school or college, and then you go your separate ways, and for whatever reason, it could be a tragic breakup, it could be not, but a few years later, a lot of these people end up back together or something like that, or they don't necessarily like forget each other. And especially if like you're in high school and then you leave for college and then you come back to your hometown or something like that for
Yeah.
spring break,
Yeah.
or even years later after college ends, and there's always like that couple to where you're always just like, why are you guys still together? Like you hate each other, or like he
Yeah.
literally hits you, or whatever it is. And this one combines sort of that, to where it's like everybody knows the like beautiful girl that everybody wishes they were with, and for some reason they're this with some horrible person, like a douchebag for lack of a better term or whatever. And let's just say that that person, that girl, finally kills that guy, and the only person she has to fall back on to help her out is basically the guy she left to be with that douchebag. And
Okay.
so the
Yeah.
story now is that girl kills her abusive husband and then seeks refuge from her old, like young lover, who's supposed to be like the good guy, sort of the innocent one that she
Yeah.
broke the heart. And then that's where like craziness ensues, where then it goes to like Crow and I's, like we go deep into the mayhem. But it starts off with that premise to where you're just kind of like, it's the the bad girl everybody likes, who
Yeah.
finally does what she should have done a long time ago, and she finally like is getting help from the person that she needs to redeem herself for because she broke his heart or whatever. But then just craziness starts to happen to where you just realize there's more to their story than even they let themselves onto at the time. And of
And I
course,
love this here. I love this scene here we're looking at here. This whole piece here. When I looked saw this and I read these pages here and these pieces that you put in here, and I was like, all right, I love the way this looks. This is really cool. It definitely gives you the feeling of there's something more to this chick. Like I need to feel, and I love the vibe here. I'm like, listen, I'm not a huge manga fan, but this is Hoven and Crow, playing around in that sandbox, and I'm loving it.
thank you. Yeah. And it to I also am like, I'm not deep into the manga space as well, but we fell in love with this artist. So this artist, BYEBYEYUUNIMOND, this is the first sequential art book she's done. She's
Wow.
mainly on Instagram. She does images, and she's done panels and sort of like short stories written by herself, almost like cartoons in the sense that it's just like three
Yeah.
panels or two panels or even just one sometimes. She
Yeah.
tells one panel horror stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
Like
she's an
almost
amazing artist.
almost to like a webtoon.
What was that?
Similar to close to like a webtoon kind of style where it's
Yeah,
very yeah.
to where it's in a manga style. That's what she's known for, but she had
I love
never
that.
done a full series at all. I don't even think she did more than a few, like a few pages of anything.
Yeah.
Um, but so whenever she gave us sort of a positive outlook on like our stories that we pitched her, and she agreed to do this one, we were like, we pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Heck yeah.
because she just perfectly matched this story because it gets into the weirder side without getting like so over the top. Like if you think of a typical horror, and you're like, you and I are probably deep into the weeds on every story and every genre, but a lot of people, and so outside of comics and outside of writing and stuff, and we'll get into this later, but like I manage a hotel, I've worked at
Mhm.
hospitals, resorts, ski resorts, and
Yeah.
I've been tapped into sort of the normies of the world, unaffiliated with deep into fandoms or nothing. And I forget how just the majority of the people that consume comic books, manga, movies are just
Mhm.
normal everyday people that
Yeah.
don't even know that much about any particular thing. So the example I'm getting at is, if you talk to just any kind of random Joe Schmo and you say like, what's a good horror film, or like what's a
Mhm.
famous horror film, they're
Yeah.
going to go Alien, Jaws, Halloween. A little bit deeper,
Right.
people
Yeah.
might go, okay, there's,
Friday 13th.
yeah, maybe something like Saw, and they'll be like, I don't like that kind of stuff, or I don't
Yeah.
like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I do like The Conjuring or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and then we basically were like, okay, you like this sort of ghost feel? Well, let's just
Yeah.
throw in weird Hellraiser status kind of stuff involved in there as well, to where there's
Okay.
sort of sadomasochism, or and so
Yeah.
like it dives a little bit in the weird without getting like X-rated or what, to where it's like truly horrific or whatever. it's just weird enough to like appease the people that are into horror like that. Like in the campaign, I explained it's sort of similar to a paranoia of something like Rosemary's Baby, to where it's kind of the suspense drama that gives
Yeah.
hints of sort of magic, and then by the end of it, it's much like Suspiria, to where if anybody that's seen Suspiria, all of a sudden like it starts off like this slow kind of ghost drama, and then it turns into something like totally off the wall,
Mhm.
and I like
Mhm.
stuff like that, to where like by
Yeah.
there's another good example was that movie The Ritual. Did you ever watch that?
No, I don't think I have actually. No, wait, is it an older one? I'm not.
It's not that old. It's like
Okay.
I want to say it's maybe 10 years old, to where
Okay,
you and
maybe
I could
not.
still
No.
consider it modern. I don't want the point being is like it's one of those movies that where it just starts off to where you think it's just like your typical, it's
Okay.
four guys in the
Yeah.
woods and scary stuff's happening, and then it just by like this, it kind of Dust Till Dawn's a good example, to where the
Yeah.
first half of the movie is you think it's sort of a crime thriller
Yeah.
movie,
You're
and
like,
by
all
the
right,
end of it,
cool.
it's a
Biker
vampire movie.
movie. You're like, okay, this is a cool biker movie. Where we going with it? And then you're like, oh, off the wall. Okay.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like ours isn't quite that flip flopped extreme. Like you get what's going on, but there is sort of the final chapter is like not completely twist, but it'll throw people for a loop because it's not what you'd expect, or
Yeah.
not like your typical ghost house story.
Yeah.
I guess like all that's what makes it. I like to think what makes a good
Yeah.
story is the difference of where we're used to certain tropes or whatever. So
Mhm.
when you start down a path and you're like, oh, this is the Haunting of Hill House. It's a people in a house. The house is haunted. It's The Conjuring. There's somebody buried under the
Yeah.
house, or there's somebody died in the house, or something related, or demon, or whatever. And
Mhm.
this doesn't lead to any of those normal paths.
Yeah.
Um,
So we have a comment here from our friend Sean Butler on Facebook. He says, "Share. I'm totally sharing this." He says, I remember reading number one of It Eats What Feeds It. Then I couldn't find the remaining issues. Going to have to grab the trade as so I could see
oh
through the
yeah, get it in the campaign. I got it. I'll
Yeah.
sign it for you.
Yeah. You guys can check it out right now. You guys can head on
Oh, I
over to
also sorry.
Kickstarter. We can head on over to Kickstarter right now. They're offering the issues of It Eats What Feeds It combined with this story here of our Love Unrest. Please go ahead and finish what your
I was
thoughts
just
there.
gonna say, as an add-on, I still have a lot of the all the floppies as well. So if people wanted each floppies as an
Yeah.
add-on, you can get them. And I've
I've
got
got
like,
a handful too. Like if you're really desperate, you don't have a dollar to spend, you can hit me up and I'll get you one because we definitely want to make sure that you guys get to read these things. And then maybe you'll fall in love, and then maybe one day when you do get a little bit more money, you can purchase some more cool stuff from this crew. Um, Definitely check that out because we love you guys. We love comic books, and we want everybody to be able to read these things. And we'll maybe we'll work something out where we give one away for free to you guys during the show or something. We'll talk to Max after this, and we'll see what
I
we can do.
got you, man. If you
Yeah,
got
we'll
demand, I'll feed the
yeah, if
army.
you guys, we'll see what we can do. We'll talk and see what we can do with that. But yeah, definitely. So I love this thing. Let's talk a little bit more about the art team on this one because you said this is their first full length. They've done some really stuff. We were getting into that a little bit more. So how did you guys feel about giving them this kind of task, knowing that they've not really done any too much sequential art in this kind of way?
It Yeah, it's a lot of, you take a risk, but it's similar to I talked about. It's like you're investing in people, and you
Yeah.
try to find what like diamonds in the rough. And to us, we were like, she is a pro level artist that because she doesn't have experience with any publisher, much less a mainstream one,
Hmm.
she's going to be, I guess, more open to be more creative. Especially that's the other thing is we told her you can take as long as you want.
Hmm.
Like there's no deadline, there's no pressure. Just here's the script. If you like it, you got it. Um, and so and you can use creative freedom. You can go back and forth. And there's whenever you have that kind of open relationship in a sense to
Hmm.
where Pretty much, it's kind of point being is we
It's
gave
like
her a
Kismet
lot of
sometime,
freedom
right?
and basically said, like, give us however you want to go about it. You can give us sketches first. You can just dive into it. But let's try to do like what would be issue 1, and
Mhm.
and then if you don't want to continue it, we can stop there. But if you like it and you want to keep going, then let's do it. And pretty quickly she really latched onto it, really grasped onto the character. The main
Yeah.
character, Madison, is the female. Um, she
So
really
so
fine tuned.
tell us a little bit more about Madison here. Who
Uh,
is Madison?
we leave it as a lot of like her past is explained in the first issue through her dialogue with the other character. It's a very contained story. So Crow and I like to write contained thrillers in a sense, to where I mean, a lot of this comes from us trying to make movies. It's easy if you can fa- famous actors in a sense, or like celebrities, they like character driven stories, so they like things that focus on them, or like focus on just like two back and forth, kind of almost like a play type of story.
Yeah.
So we focused on character driven, and that a single location, it's easy to film. And I think naturally us just doing that so many times, we just sort of naturally fall into that. So this story became kind of one of those, and it to where it's just like we don't need to leave the house for the most part. It's like it, and
Okay.
so and
Yeah.
it's just all it is it's like you slowly start to reveal through what she's talking about what her relationship is with the other guy, and his name's Damon. uh, and so, and I don't basically I can't give away like who she
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
or much about her, but
I
just
feel
know
that.
like
I love
she's
that
the
though.
girl everybody wishes they were with, and and like of course she's just like it's like something about Mary if it was a horror movie.
Yeah. And there's something about it that you just can't pinpoint. You're like you're intrigued, but there's always that moment you're like, all right.
I will also
Listen, number one, she's coming to you to help you get rid of a body.
Yeah, no,
And
it's like that thrill. It's like if you're the guy on this end, if you're
yeah.
just like some guy, you're at home, and in this story, he's basically like, imagine you're the loser,
I'd be
and
scared that she's gonna do it to me next.
yeah, you are not necessarily a loser, but let's just say like there's plenty of those stories of, well, once we broke up, she made me so mad at her breakup that I was like, I'm just gonna go like become rich and date all these famous models.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Like the
Okay.
breakup like affected him, and he's now like a baller.
All
And
right.
of course, like now when you're in that situation, like the ex to come back to you and in such a vulnerable position,
Yeah.
this is where the story gets
This is the
weird
one
because
that
it's
got
like
away.
he goes from like being sort of the innocent, like the story of like, oh my goodness, like I'm the one who's treated poorly. She broke up with me for bad reasons. Let's say she
Mhm.
cheated on me with this goon goblin, and then she goes and marries that guy. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just do whatever, become rich, become the executive that I always wanted to be.
Mhm.
But for me, it was never enough. I still am in love with that girl, and now she's back, and now she needs me. She needs me to be the man that I never was
Yeah.
in the past. But what she's asking me to do is insane because she just killed somebody, and
Mhm.
now she's at my house, and now and I, without giving away too much, like you're now in that kind of intense mode. For anybody that's ever seen the movie, it's called the Invitation. It's similar in that vibe to where
Mhm.
if you haven't seen that movie, it's very similar in the sense that it's like this guy, he gets invited to a party that his ex-girlfriend and her new husband is hosting. And whenever he gets there, there's like other couples there. And slowly throughout the story, you start to learn more about like that guy's relationship with that ex,
Yeah.
um, that he didn't necessarily tell anybody. And in that story, it was things like that. I think that she had a miscarriage, so they like lost a baby together, and
Mhm.
maybe there was drug addiction or something. But then like it gets super weird and crazy as you start to realize that like the hosts of the party have a sinister agenda, and then it becomes sort of a
Yeah.
survival story. This is very
Interesting. Yeah,
similar,
I
not
love
in
that.
plot, it's not the same, but in vibe and
Yeah.
tone, it's very similar in that
And
kind of
I
tension.
love those kinds of stories, right? I think me and you kind of had a long conversation when we were prepping for the stories. And we were talking the show, and we were talking about like my story and how it's very similar to these kind of these body horror, these really like that Shyamalan movie where the guy they trap the trap or whatever the heck, they get the guy in the stadium, right, and all these creepy things are happening. He does these weird creepy things, and you're like, hey, it's Josh Hartnett. He's the most handsomest, coolest person. He's not going to be creepy, right? But there's this weird creepy vibe going on, right? It's these stories, these new kind of horror movies that we got going on, like new one that they got, the whole lady in the yard, and all these other ones that we keep seeing that are coming out, right? All the
Yeah,
all the new ones, like the Substance we were talking about, Smile, all these different
yeah,
things.
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not they're not necessarily like jump scares like the old school horror movies used to be, right? There's these real suspense thrillers where you that vibe where you're like, oh, that cringy vibe, but you're like, oh, I'm still gonna watch this. Just is just super stretched out,
Yeah, I
right?
feel
And
like the auteurs of horror have really influenced modern horror. Like Ari Aster did Hereditary and
yeah,
Midsummer,
yeah,
and then who's the other one that did like The Witch?
yeah.
The
And then
success of those films. Oh,
and
and
then
he just recently did
Nosferatu recently,
Nosferatu. Yeah, yeah. The
Nosferatu, right?
success. Yeah, the success of those, I think, are leading horror, and I like this down a more intelligent, like way as opposed to
Mhm.
just full blown splatter and gore like it
Right.
was whenever I was like coming of
Right,
age.
like literally, all you have to do is watch the first like 4 minutes of Nosferatu, and boom, you're creeped out. Like literally the first 5 minutes, and it's you're like, and that's that they set the tone, and that's the tone, right? And I love that, and I love those stories, and you're right, and now it's bleeding over into other types of media and stuff like this, and I love this new blend of things that we're got going on. It's very, very, very cool. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back from the other side, let's get into a little bit more about the marketing side of things, and then how you guys put this book together, how many pages you guys plan to do. If you guys are gonna, if this is a manga, are you guys planning on like 30 volumes? All that fun stuff. We'll get into that here after we play some of these videos from some of our sponsors. We'll do that here on the other side.
All right.
Click that mouse and warp into All Ages of Geek's website, your ultimate portal to everything geek culture. Here you'll find articles that speak your language, from the latest anime buzz to the coolest tech trends. Our mission? To celebrate geekdom in all its glory. Whether you're a gamer, a comic enthusiast, a 90s kid, or an anime aficionado, we've got something for you. Dive deep into them with All Ages of Geek.
Your comics take a lot of time and effort to create. Way too much to have them get damaged while shipping to your backers. Gemini Comic Supply mailers keep your comics safe in transit, and with the code GeekCollective10, you can get those mailers with 10% off your order. That's GeekCollective10. Enter it at checkout to get 10% off.
All right, thank you guys for hanging it back out with us here. We're gonna put you guys back into the hot seat here. Here we go. Thank you guys. Please, if you guys want to, please head on over to allagesgeek.com. They are a friend of the show, and they do amazing stuff over there. Everything from all kinds of geeky stuff, from manga, anime, comic books, and everything in between. Everything pop culture on the geeky side. You're definitely gonna want to find it there. They do interviews and podcasts and streams. So check it out. All things geeky at our friends All Ages of Geek. Check that out. And then please, guys, listen, if you guys we keep this show that keeps the lights on. If you guys go over to Gemini, I know you guys really want to make sure that these books get to you in pristine condition, because we love reading these things and we want to read them forever. The way we do that is by making sure that these things get to our backers in pristine condition, whether you use different stuff or not. We love Gemini mailers here at Geek Collective, and we have we they sponsor the show and they keep the lights on, and it keeps this show running for free. So please, if you guys do that, head on over to Geek Collective, or you head on over to GeminiMailingSupply.com and type in Geek Collective 10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off. And all your supplies. I use it every time every time I have a campaign, I order myself my Gemini stuff, and I always get like $100 to $200 off each time that I order, and I order in bulk so that I don't have to do it over and over again. Just check it out, and you guys are definitely going to love the price that it takes off for you. So all right, let's talk to we're still talking to our pal Max Hoven about our Love Unrest, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the marketing and the rewards and how much this stuff's going to cost, and how many pages. Number one, tell us about the page count and the kind of price point that you guys have set for this campaign.
Yeah, if I say 100 plus, because I think it's basically like it's like 104 story pages, I think, and then we're gonna have some ancillary pages, and really depending on how far along we can get, I was gonna do maybe like some stretch goals or something that could get us some kind of bonus content to add to it. So it could be up to like 110 or 120 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
But in general, it's like, think of it as 100 pages.
Here's a funny insider thing here. If you guys are watching and you guys aren't comic pros and stuff like this, so the reason why a lot of these people say 100 plus or whatever, sometimes when you have put these books together, there's always that one weird page, or there's that one weird thing happens where you either have an off number of pages, and you have to like add in pages to make sure that you hit the correct amount of printing pages that printer does. Now, when it comes to like a graphic novel, you don't necessarily need to stay on like I think it's every 4 pages. I think with a graphic novel, it's every 2 pages. So you can get a little bit more leeway with your covers and your interiors and your inside covers of things of that nature. That's all like designer stuff and like formatting comic book side of things. But it's definitely one of those things that you want to think about if you are like if this is your first time around, and this is your first comic book that you're going to be printing, and so those are things that you're going to want to think about. So sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good, and that plays into sort of how we actually do the final layout. We're still debating on. It was originally written as 4 chapters, so basically 4 issues that were roughly about 30 pages on average per issue, which is long normally, because through the comic shops, your stories are usually 22 to 24, and then they might throw some ads in there and call it 32. But in reality of story pages, it's not actually 32 story pages. It's usually less, more like 26, 24, but it has to be even numbers. And these ones we did a bit longer because we knew we were going to do it ourselves.
And let me tell you, when you get a creator that says this is going to be a 30 pager, you're like, oh my gosh, now I have to put in like 8 pages of like extras. Like, oh my gosh.
That's so, yeah, as far as pricing and stuff, that's still where we're trying to figure out exactly how we want to go about it, because you can in the grander scheme, the reason I wanted to do it the way we're doing it, aside from the artwork and all that, as far as it has a manga style, we're actually going to produce it in the manga size, which is 5 by 7.5, as opposed to, oh goodness, I can't remember what a traditional comic is, but it's taller and or whatever. So it's more like a 3 by 4 ratio, as opposed to a manga is more like 2 by 3. So when you're reading it, it's like
it's smaller than like a compact that like DC's doing right now.
Yeah, it's more like a Reader's Digest kind of size. And because we're doing that, we will be able to save on printing as opposed. So, for example, if you're trying to print a 100-page full color traditional graphic novel, you're spending at least, if you're only printing 200 copies or less, you're spending almost $10 to print that
Mhm.
book. And if your
Yeah.
graphic novel is more like 200 pages, like,
Mhm.
phew, it's rough, and it's all color,
Yeah.
and you do
Yeah.
a matted front and do what a professional looking book. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets expensive just for printing. So now it's like,
Mhm.
if you're thinking, $10 times 200, that's 2,000. Well, we save a little bit because it's black and white and it's in that smaller size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And another thing when it comes to like the bigger that your book goes, the you have to make sure that when you get it formatted, you have to make sure that your pages in the further and further it gets to the middle is you want to make sure that your margins are separated a little bit from the binding.
for
So
sure.
because I don't know, I've read some books and I'm like, you're really pinching that thing open to really read that part, right? So whether you want to do like this, some people don't do it, some creators don't. They just do it. But if you really want to make sure your readers are not really bending that book, because you know the more that you bend it, the less and less you will have it the length of time that you'll have that book, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I don't know. That's me. I think about stuff like that all the time, dude. I'm like, I literally listen. The only reason why I'm saying it is because I don't want to talk trash on anybody, but I bought the compact version of the Superman book, and I was reading through it, and I was like really having to pull that thing open and pinch that thing open to see some of the pages and the art pages and some of the dialogue, and I'm like, come on, DC,
Yeah.
really?
I don't
You guys
think that
couldn't pull
they've,
out margins.
and that's where we're going to experiment a little bit. Like, I'm not exactly sure what I want. That's the thing, is since it's my own label, as far as
Do
like
whatever you want.
publishing, I want to make it be as cheap as possible, but somehow still be premium and not feel like
Inexpensive,
it's
not
cheap.
cheap. Yeah.
So we're gonna do really nice cover pages, and really just try to save on the fact that it's black and white and that it's going to be in slightly smaller paper, smaller size, but still, as far as like the thickness, as far as the binding and all that, like you said, we're going to try to make it to where, however we need to design it to where it's a full quality book, like you'd
Yeah, and
pick up from Barnes
this
and
is a
Noble and
great price
anywhere.
point too. This is a great price point. You got this a physical book at $30. That's not bad at all. And this is
It's yeah,
reason why you guys are keeping it low so that you guys can sell it for low. You know, what I mean, we have some people putting their 28 30 page book at $15 right now, right? You know, on Kickstarter. You guys got this at $30, 100 something plus pages. Like this is a fantastic price point here. So talk to me a little bit about why you guys set these at this price point and why you guys kind of combine them with It Eats What Feeds It.
so I mean, I went through a lot of questioning of people. I talked to other people that have done campaigns. A lot of this is like, in the grander scheme, I'm trying to think of how would I actually make um, selling really indie comics in general actually profitable for the creators, and not just barely breaking even or not at all. So to back up, to give you some numbers, it's like, if I was doing the the normal way of going about it, um, it's one if you release the floppies, you can print a floppy for, even if it's full color and all that, uh, maybe at for like if you're doing low print runs. So here's a problem with indie
Mhm.
comics is, if you're doing anything like less, like 500, 300, 200 kind of print runs, the cost per book is high. It's so
Mhm.
high that in order to actually sell it to a customer, if you typically when you're selling things, even a wholesale price, or like the retail cost to the customer is usually 2.5 to 3 times as much as it costs you to produce, at least to print. So you
And
ignore how much we pay artists
and
and
I will
whatever.
tell you guys this. I will tell you guys right now. Nobody on Kickstarter is charging you 2.5, 3 times at cost to print. They're doing it at least 1.5, maybe 1 close to like they are nowhere near that, and which means we are what does that obviously means we are some of if we are not hitting high numbers backer counts and people hitting paying purchasing multiples or larger number multiple like larger uh purchases per person, um it's really not going to work out. We're going to be working at a loss here, so just to give you guys some kind of context on that.
Yeah, and that's where I've gotten into feuds with people in a way, in that there are some people that think you make indie comics as a hobby, you don't do it for profit, you do it for the love of the game or whatever. In my world,
My wife is
I
going to get mad if I said that.
it's like I'm not in the game for, like, I'm going through Kickstarter not because um some kind of like I think I'm going to make the most money there or anything. Here's what happened to me, okay? First of all, when like, I've been with publishers, so I got sort of all my glory of seeing my books on the shelves and in shops and stuff, and that is great, and I love that, and everybody that aspires for that, go for it.
Yeah.
Definitely not saying don't do that, but in this case, I had like two things happen. The book that I was wanting to write, I knew would be hard to find a publisher for it. So it'd be like hard to find a publisher that's sort of mainstream that could actually profit the where I wanted to actually get to, which is at least break even on production.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. So for someone like me who basically pays artists for artwork, there's two ways to go about it. You can either pay them a page rate and then basically make all the profit in return. So if you give them $100 a page and you're doing a 100-page book, you do the math there. And then if you are, so let's just say it's 10 grand for a book. Well, if I don't find a publisher for that, I have to sell it myself, and I have to make at least that. But if you go through a publisher, they pay for printing and all that, so you're only trying to cover production. And if you get with a big enough publisher, making 10 grand in revenue to cover your cost of production is actually really hard. Most people, because publishers have to break even on their own printing, which is what I'm like going through and explaining now to everyone through Kickstarter, is like, if they cost you $5 to print that book, that's not including shipping it to you. That's how much it costs to print and ship to me or a warehouse. I now have to get it to you. And if I do anything else and I add on anything and I have to whatever, it's like, if I have to market it and all that, that's all eats into my cost per book. So that whenever you finally get it, so if I'm only, and if it costs me that much to print it, it's going to be too much to the consumer. They're not going to want to pay. This is why so many people probably don't do the 2.5, 3 times, because they're not used to paying that much for what they see as sort of a lesser than professional book. It's like, why would I pay, if I'm paying $5 for the next Marvel comic and I'm paying $10 for your indie comic, why am I paying you $10 for a lesser quality book that, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where, anyway, to backtrack a little bit. So I've had books through publishers. It's very hard to break even on production costs when you're making a professional book yourself. If you're not upfronting and paying the artists upfront, you have to then expect you all split a creator. You split the revenue in return. And the publisher has to cover printing, and they have to cover printing of every issue. So what happens is they might like profit issue 1, but then they have to overprint a little bit of issue 2, 3, and 4. And if you lose readers, and they don't sell, and they have to sell the margins, even with them printing, 1,000.
And it becomes this big thing, right? Like where the more people the more hands that are involved, the less obviously there is to pass around, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
it's so by the time you get your creator returns, it's
yeah,
so minuscule. A $4, $5 book leads to you getting 50 cents or less,
right,
split
and
between the other creators sometimes.
because you're now you're not thinking about the profits or being past the margins that you are like versus like Kickstarter, right, where you put a book up there and maybe you charge 1 to 2 times more than it did to cost the print, right, especially if it's like on like a floppy, right, and then you do that, maybe you have 3 issues or something more, or 6 issues, and you do a run or whatever, right, you might gain readership, right, because you are getting this popularity. Now people are, you have this, now you're able to have this better quality paper and this quality book inside, because now you're kind of creating this demand of this high quality product, this high quality book, especially if the interiors and the writing meets that expectation as well, right? So that's kind of, I love the way that Kickstarter does it. When you do it that way on Kickstarter, right, it creates this thing that you really don't get in the direct market, right? Because direct market, it feels like it's just very watered down and it trickles down, and then by the time it gets to you, you got like a drop left, and it's really hard because you're out there pushing the book, and you're doing all this stuff, and the publisher is doing their work and their best efforts to promote you as well, right? But they also have not only you, but they also have a whole roster of creators and things that they're trying to do, right? And they may be on the same kind of hook that they are for their work, right? So now it becomes this thing where if your book is not profitable, or it doesn't come out of the red, right? It's or get back into the black, you are now working at a loss, and now guess who's losing out or not making any money, right? And you're right. So
Yeah.
and now if you're not making any money, so what kind of what kind of skin on the back of the is are you going to be writing on with the publisher, right? Will they really stick their neck out for you if it's not really profitable at that point, right? So it's just really scary. And yeah, and not to talk down on anything about the direct market, right? We love the direct market. It's different and it's changing right now. And I think people I think this is one of the best times for you to probably make your place in the direct market. And if you can do it strategically and do it the right way, that works best for you, I think you would be able to, if you can sustain it, you can do something with it. Um, but
Oh
with
yeah,
that
and
said,
then
go
just
ahead.
to add to this, like it's already hard enough to um, even break even with a comic normally through a publisher or even
Mhm.
Kickstarter or whatever. But on top of that, my volume 2 of Liquid Kill, which was 4 issues that already went to print, already went to stores, had a bunch of people buy it, a bunch of people read it. When Diamond went bankrupt, all that
Mm.
revenue got wrapped up in the bankruptcy filing. So all of that revenue, the publisher didn't get anything,
Oh
I didn't get
man,
anything, and I can't. I couldn't afford to take such a huge loss as a creator. I was like,
yeah,
I have to risk basically at least going through a Kickstarter, self-publishing myself. And the
yeah.
whole beauty of my publishing line, I do accept creator submissions depending on how well this campaign goes. But it's like the with myself and obviously any other creators, there's no contract that's like for a certain set of time that I license anything or own anything, or that you are even under any kind of obligation under the publishing label. The contracts are for a print run. So it's
Oh,
like
I love that.
you give me the rights to print 100 of these and we split the net profits.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. That's a really
and
cool idea.
that way, if you are a creator, you can then just at least use that to get your feet in the door. Hopefully, maybe make enough to cover a little bit of your cost to make it, and then try to
Didn't
get a bigger
didn't I see
publisher
that
who
you were
can make
doing
it better.
something like this where you guys are creating this new kind of imprint where you guys are doing
Yeah,
this,
and
and you
that's
guys gonna
technically this book is the title, the flagship title of that. Sacco Press is the name of it, to where it's like that we're going to focus on publishing the smaller manga sized books. I probably will accept color depending.
So
It,
if I were to need to submit to you guys today, what would I need? Do I need to have something that is 100? Is it going to be graphic novels like a page
yeah, as
numbers
of
or
right now, I want to keep it to not printing floppies.
okay?
And so like if you were pitching me, it I don't have the funds or time to actually invest in like paying for production. So you would have to at least pitch me on something you're in the process of making. It doesn't have to be finished, and that it's a full story. And if you only have one issue, like I probably in the future will produce floppies or maybe produce them in
Yeah,
anthologies. So
I love
if
that.
someone just has like one
Yeah.
shots or even just like a first chapter, I might produce like an annual anthology of everybody that's submitted that's like high
Very
quality.
cool.
But
Very
they
cool.
have to have it finished. Like I can only
Mhm.
really publish completed work. Um and I can't guarantee to do much with it. You know, it's kind of like I call it sort of just a stepping stone publisher to where if you're just trying to get your book out there
Yeah,
and you
and get
don't want
people.
to
Yeah,
go through a Kickstarter yourself, but you at least want to be in a few comic shops and be a part of some kind of community and not have some kind of obligation. And actually like the way I structure it is like you're pretty much guaranteed to if we sell out of the even of a small print run, you'll at least get something. Like most people,
love
most
that.
publishers, you could potentially never see anything back. Like you basically they publish your book and they say, we printed 1,000 and we sold 200 and we've got
Yeah,
800 on
yeah,
the shelves. We'll try to sell another 100 on Whatnot. The rest you can buy back to us at 50% off and you can try to sell them at conventions. To whereas I will be like, I'm
yeah.
going to print 100. I'll comp you 10 to 20. And then I'm going to try to sell 80 at local conventions or whatever, or Kickstarter.
Mhm.
And that's it. And if we sell all of them, you might make a couple $100. And if it's like a huge hit and we print 500 of them, now you could profit 1,000 or, you know, or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
especially if it's full graphic novels. Now that's not, you know, that much or that grandiose because it's not like you're getting into mainstream publishers or I mean
yeah. You're
mainstream
just
retailers or whatever. It's like it's just your foot in the door. This is mainly like people that are brand new to the game that there's
mhm.
a lot of creators I know that are creating really high quality books and it's their first book and they're already it looks pro and they just don't really
Yeah,
know what to do and they you know they pitched Image, they pitched Dark Horse, they all said no, they don't know any mid-level publishers, and they aren't even sure if they want to do that. They want to basically and they don't necessarily want to pay somebody to crowdfund it or whatever. But if you're a
mhm.
part of something that basically is just doing small print runs like I am and printing it at a low cost and can get it into shops and can get it back to you to where you can sell them at conventions or something at
Yeah.
the cost of print or very close to it, um, that you might be able to at least get your foot in the door and sort of have
I
credibility to your
love that.
name and
Yeah, because
understand the business.
yeah, because it does. Like I wish there was something like this that was offering something to me when I was first getting into comic books and wanted and oh, I got this cool story, but I didn't really have any writer friends or artist friends, right? Which is why we created the Geek Collective as well, right? We have now people that we contract out to do these kinds of things, right? And we kind of thought along the same kind of lines of what you did, which is why you and I kind of came back together after we parted ways with Scout, and we were like, hey, we really love the marketing side of these things. We really talked about this, and then you went even further and started creating this kind of curriculum and how to create a successful campaign and all these different things that you've done and ways that you've seen throughout your tenure in the comic book space. And I think it's amazing that there's now tools out there at the tip of your fingers for people to be able to do this, because the people like us who wanted these tools are now creating them, because we've had some form of success, right, in some way or another. And I love that we can continue to do that, right, and which is why we have this show and all this amazing stuff. So we're running out of time here because we can run over, we can talk because I really love talking about marketing comic books. But if you want, you can hang out. We're going to talk about three more Kickstarters just real quick, and then we're gonna end the show. But you are more than welcome to hang out, or if you got to leave, you got work tomorrow.
Yeah, it is 5 till 10, so I probably will check out. But
Sure,
I do want to hear
please.
about the other
All right.
Kickstarters that are going on, so I'll check out the stream later. When, or I guess
Yeah.
this is, I can watch it later, even though it's
Yes,
live,
it's
right?
live. You can go back and watch it. We'll have it there, and then you can also listen to the audio portion of the podcast as well on the podcast network as well. So
Perfect. Sorry for
yeah,
rambling.
definitely. No. This is fantastic. No, please, before you head out, let everybody know where they can find you and the Kickstarter, and then we'll move on and talk about three more Kickstarters that we love, projects we love.
Nice. Yeah, easy. On all social media, my name is at Lord Max Hoven. The main website for Hoven Crow Entertainment is just hovencrow.com. And then also saccopress.com. And on the homepage of both those sites is the link and some pictures and stuff for the Kickstarter campaign that's live. I actually don't remember the exact Kickstarter link, but it's a long tail. It's basically the title of it, which is not the name of it, but it's like Our Love Unrest, manga,
Graphic,
whatever,
gothic
gothic
romance.
romance. But yeah, the easiest place is
Fantastic.
go to hovencrow.com or saccopress.com. And I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter. I talk
And if you
into the
guys are
void on
watching
there,
on
but
YouTube right now, just go down and click down into the comments, into the show notes, and you guys will be able to click on the link there.
I
Thank you.
also have my own YouTube channel called Indie Comic Empire.
Love that. You love that. Yes, check it out, and we appreciate you coming by. Check out Our Love Unrest right now live on Kickstarter. You guys just hit $2,000. Fantastic. You guys got 24 days to go, so let's get this one. Even let's unlock some stretch goals, guys.
Yeah, let's at
Three
least get
three
to the
thousand
first
dollars
one.
and $5,000. Umazark variant cover. I want that. I need it. So make sure you guys checking this one out. I already got my pledge in. Make sure you guys get yours in. Thanks again, Max, for hanging out with us. Appreciate you, man. So if you got to cut out, please go right ahead, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some Kickstarters, man.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Joey.
Thank you. We'll see you. All right, guys, we're gonna talk to you guys here a little bit about some of this stuff here. Where we have our pal Ben's book here. It's this one is in pre-launch. This is We Are Scarlet Twilight Cobalt Crisis Part 1. If you guys have been following the show and following what we've done, you guys seen a little bit of the pieces of this in Archetypes issue 1. We showed you a little bit about a little inside, gave you a 5-pager, I believe 4 to 8 pages there in Archetypes issue 1. This one is you guys can notify me on launch right now, but this is his kind of like his Crisis on Infinite Earths, but all kinds of really great stuff here. This is in the style of like noir, very very cool stuff, colorful. I love Ben's work. He's got some fantastic style there, so check this one out. This one is from our friend Benjamin W. Morse, fantastic artist, cartoonist. He does everything. He's even fantastic at making videos. Like he does all the trailer work for us, all the really cool fun stuff that you guys seen that made us super productive production quality. He's done. Check that one out. And we got another one from our friend over here, Rich Davis. This one is Angel Hunter in His Life, another 5x7 manga and same manga inspired dark fantasy here. This one, a lot of people are doing this really cool style of book where it's manga influenced, and it's this American style stuff. Really really cool. We got our friend Brain Beast Studios. How's it going, pal? Thank you. He says oi oi. I love that. Definitely check this one out from our pal. This one follows 13. And this was let me read you guys the long line. This one is a 96 page seinen manga inspired epic dark fantasy from the nightmares of Rich Davis and Les Garner. This is the team from Prometheus and Chains. This explores humanity's first strides after being expelled from Eden. Humans must carve out an existence in a world dominated by 13 fallen angels and their army of kaiju Nephilim. Oh, this is gonna be so cool. I appreciate this. I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing? We got Brainbreeze Studios saying, doing good, bud. How are you? Fantastic. He's our friend over there on the across the pond. I don't know if that's what they say. Maybe they say that. I don't know. Who cares? I say it now. This one's definitely you're gonna want to check this one out if you guys are fans of manga, seinen manga. We got some really cool stuff of JoJo's JoJo's Steel Ball Run. People are excited about that one because I think they're reissuing it. If you guys are fans of that, fans of the kind of manga style influence comics, this one's definitely one you're gonna want to check out. Yeah, he says, yeah, rad here, just doing some stock prep for con season and tax stuff boring. Yeah, tax stuff is boring, but con season is not. All right, these are some really gorgeous covers here. We got one from Jordan Dorenzo. And the interiors are black and white, just like any manga here. Really cool stuff. You guys are gonna want to check this one out. I really love the characters. You're gonna see some really cool character work. And we're gonna be talking to him very soon, so make sure you guys stay tuned. We're gonna talk to Richard Davis. We're gonna get him into the studio. And this one is my story here. This one I created this story here. It's called I Need Your Skin Book One. It's a 30-page supernatural horror comic. This one follows Nora Perkins, who has a fear of aging, and she thinks a clairvoyant can help her. A deal will be made for a small piece of her flesh. And just like it says in there in that log line, yes, we're gonna see Nora give up a small piece of her flesh because she wants to stay beautiful, right? Who doesn't want to stay beautiful, right? So we meet Madame Louise, who is the clairvoyant, but she's not who she seems to be. Who's not she? So you can see here in one of the panels that her nails grow and she cuts her piece of skin off and it falls into a bowl. Then we're gonna meet the creepy monster here. We're not gonna tell you guys what this is, but definitely gonna want to check it out. You guys are gonna want to see some of this stuff on our page because we have really gorgeous artwork. We have a really cool concept page there by Brian Belanda, who is the interior artist. So this book was created by me. It is written and co-created by Alan Dunford. It's actually the people behind Grandma Chainsaw and all that good stuff. Grandma Chainsaw, Pocus Hocus, Horse in Hell. They do some really great stuff with Bad Bug. So we stole that team for a little while and we asked them to do this work. We paid them to do this work for us, and we were really excited about this story. We're going to be having some really great opportunities to send this out to our friends across the pond. If I think that's what they say again, right? Canada, Australia, UK, the EU. We're all going to give you guys a little bit of a break there because it's a little crazy shipping things over there, but we're gonna make it work for you guys just this one time around because we really want you guys to read this thing. And everybody else is going to be subject, unfortunately, to a shipping, handling, and an insurance fee because we want to make sure that this reaches you in pristine condition. If it's outside of all those places, because gets the further away it gets from us, which is we're out here in Arizona, the harder it does to get to you in better condition. So we want to make sure we do that. And we got some really gorgeous covers from Brian Belando, Ruben Macho, and then we just got one in from Benjamin W. Morse, which is a homage cover to the Misfits, Die Die My Darling, which they actually homaged Chamber of Chills, which was a comic book, which we really love this because if you don't know what that Chamber of Chills book was about, that exact one that had the cover that looks like this, it talks a little bit about kind of vanity and these kinds of things and how like inside you could be really ugly and things like that, right? Which is why Misfits chose this as well with Die My Darling, which is why we chose it as well, because we thought it fit There's if this is kind of giving a little bit of a spoiler away, says vanity comes at a price, so that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what you're going to read in this story. So definitely want to check this one out. We got some really cool pages there for you. So all you got to do is go to geekcollective.net/I need your skin and sign up today. You got 103 followers following it now. Please, if you guys really love the story, please check that one out. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and doing this really fun stuff. I got to get going because I got to go help my wife get those kids down. And again, please go check out Ben's book, check out Angel Hunter, and definitely go check out Our Love Unrest. We appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and we'll see you guys next week. Next week, I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be on vacation. I'll probably make, if I see it pop up. Don't know where I'm going to be at, but if I see it pop up, I might chime in and talk to you guys a little bit. But Ben's going to be here next week solo, and he's going to be talking to some really great creators. So make sure you guys are coming back next week and checking us out. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.